Belal, Muhammad, was able to win the welterweight championship of the world against Leon Edwards on Saturday night, and I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on this fight. Now, the way that Belal was able to defeat Leon was through very simple means. It really wasn't that complicated in terms of the strategy, because Leon Edwards is generally a fighter who's easily backed up. You can generally back him up easily and put a pace on him. That's usually the way to defeat him. That's how Kamaru Usman did it the first time. That's how Usman was doing it in the second fight up until the knockout. And if you go back and look at the knockout sequence, Usman had stopped pressuring and putting a pace on Leon, which gave Leon a chance to land the knockout head kick. But the thing is about this fight with Belal Muhammad is Belal fought very similarly to how Colby Covington normally fights against most of the contenders he's fought. But for some reason, Colby didn't fight the way he should have against Leon. And if the way that Belal fought Leon, if Colby Covington had fought that same way, I think he would have defeated Leon. But there's also another element to this to which we are not understanding. And this is something that Belal took advantage of that Kamaru Usman just never did. And it drove me crazy and still drives me crazy to this very day. And it simply comes down to the fact that Leon Edwards gives up his back every single time he gets taken down. This guy is very rarely, ever, in his guard. He's always given up his back, and Kamaru Usman just did not take the back. Colby Covington wasn't really able to do anything when he had Leon Edwards down. Belal Muhammad was able to take Leon Edwards back and was able to win rounds because of it. Now, Belal Muhammad made some mistakes. Leon was able to take Belal's back too at times, but it wasn't as bad as when Belal had Leon's back. Now, I do believe that there was something to be said that Belal's boxing looked much improved in this fight. His hands looked a lot quicker. His jab looked like it was on point. Everything that Belal was doing was executed beautifully, in my opinion. Now, there were some strikes that still come out a bit sloppy. Some people draw comparisons from Belal to Khabib, but I don't think Belal's as wild on the feet as Khabib was, and Belal's not as ferocious on top as Khabib was. When Khabib had you down, he was smashing you. When Belal has you down, he's looking to control you a bit more. He's looking to land a few ground and pound shots here and there, looking to potentially threaten with submissions, but not too much of a submission guy. And the thing with Belal Muhammad that we have to realize, and it's something that's become very evident from his previous fights, is that Belal has very high fight IQ. He's very smart in there, and he very much understands how to fight certain opponents in certain ways, and he's able to adapt his style more to the person he is fighting. Sometimes he'll play the more range striker when you're fighting a guy like Gilbert Burns. He'll be a much more aggressive wrestler style when he's fighting someone like Leon Edwards, or when he's fighting Vicente Luque. He throws a lot of straight shots because Vicente Luque doesn't defend straight shots very well and mixes in the wrestling. And generally speaking, Belal Muhammad's got very high fight IQ. Now, it's not on the level of someone like a John Jones. It's nothing that crazy. But I do think that Belal's fight IQ is something that's been thoroughly underestimated throughout his entire career. And next up, I believe, is going to be Shavkat Rakhmonov up against Belal Muhammad. A lot of people are counting out Belal once again. I'm no longer going to count him out. I can potentially see a scenario where Belal does defeat Shavkat. Shavkat's not a guy who goes deep into fights generally. He went into the third round against Jeff Neal and was able to finish him. But, Shavkat's never been to a decision in his entire career. I could potentially see a scenario where Belal's hitting him with the straight shots because Shavkat doesn't have the greatest striking defense, particularly to the straight shots overall. Hooks, he does a better job defending, but straight shots, not as much. So I can see a scenario where Belal's popping him with that jab. He could potentially try to wrestle as well with Shavkat. I don't think Shavkat's going to take down Belal, unless it's through pure strength, because Shavkat had a hard time getting Wonderboy down. If you're having a hard time getting Wonderboy down at this stage of his career, I do not see how you're going to take down Belal Muhammad, who has some of the best takedown defense we've seen. Now, for Leon Edwards, there is something to be said that I don't think his overall grappling improved as much as people make it out to be. Yes, Leon is a very well-rounded fighter. He's an excellent striker, an excellent distance management overall. Until he's getting heavily pressured, then he has a hard time keeping guys off him once they get going. But his grappling did improve. He was able to take down Kamaru Usman. I understand these things. However, I don't think it improved enough, evidently, by Belal Muhammad. Now, that could potentially indicate Belal Muhammad's wrestling is just better than we thought it was. That could potentially be true. However, I also think that Leon's takedown defense just simply did not hold up in this fight. When Leon's fighting someone who's in their prime, like Belal Muhammad, his takedown defense just wasn't there compared to an older Kamaru Usman who had really bad knees, or an older Colby Covington who hadn't fought in 2.5 years. It's not the same thing as compared to fighting a guy like Belal Muhammad. It was in his prime, and is a really good wrestler in his own right. But this fight also kind of solidifies what people were saying about Leon in his Colby Covington fight, his third Kamaru Usman fight, is that Leon's not an entertaining guy. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but he's not like this barn burner fighter. Like, people think he's this knockout artist because he landed a head kick on Kamaru Usman, which, by the way, I've been saying this for a long time, and people crap on me for this, but I think now they'll probably back me up. Leon Edwards' whole personality has revolved around that head kick knockout. I understand it was the greatest moment of his career, but he has since then not done anything even close to that type of magnitude to deserve that type of entire personality type treatment, at least in my opinion. But what's next for Leon Edwards? Honestly, I don't know, because I would say put him up against Ian Gary, right? But the problem is that fight would probably be extremely boring. Just in my opinion, I think that fight would be pretty boring. So who else could you go with? You can go with Jack Della Maddalena. You can go with potentially Gilbert Burns if he wins his fight. Outside of that, I'm not really too sure. I think JDM would probably be the best choice, especially considering that Leon probably wants to get right back in there. He probably wants to right the wrong, and he wants to try to fight for the belt once again. And I think fighting JDM is a good step to doing that. So let me know what you guys thought of this fight down in the comments below. Let me know who you guys think Belal Muhammad and Leon Edwards should be fighting next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!